Hey everybody, well, today is Thursday, so happy Thursday or whatever day it happens to be whenever you see this recording. It's Adeniki McKenday, your purpose coach and career strategist, and I am back yet again to give you a career real talk, career pep talk, career purpose talk, whatever you want to call it. And so I'm excited today to talk about our topic on perseverance. You know, the world again has dealt us some blows, and so there's a lot going on. A lot of people feel out of control when it comes to their personal situation or their work situation, and so I want to give you some tools today to really let you know that no matter what the world throws at you, you actually do have options, and you can kind of pick yourself up and keep it moving towards that purposeful, joy-filled work. So let me just start out a little bit and share with you a little bit about my story. I found this, when I was thinking about how to share my story, I was really thinking about the stages that I went through to actually move from corporate into my purposeful work, which for me ended up being a business where I get to help people find their purpose and their calling, and then go out and find work that aligns with that. And so I was thinking about, well, what were the stages for me? What were the stages for actually moving from corporate into work that I now feel purposeful? And really the idea of a seed kind of came into my mind. And so I actually looked it up, and there are 6 stages of growth for a seed. And so I wanted to just relate those stages of growth to like my personal journey to finding to moving from corporate and a corporate job into my more purposeful work. So for those of you just joining, my name is Adeniki McKenday, and I'm a purpose coach and a career strategist. And again, I'm excited to talk to you today about the topic of perseverance and how if you persevere, it will get you to where you're going. So let me tell you, the first stage of the process, number 1, is the sprouting stage. And the way I relate to the sprouting stage is, as a child, I grew up in a household. My grandmother was the consummate entrepreneur. We didn't call it entrepreneur back then. It was just, somebody who had a side hustle. So many of you might relate to that. But the seed for finding purposeful work was actually planted for me back when I was a child. My grandmother, again, I've told this story before, but she had probably 4 or 5 different side hustles. I kid you not. Yes, perseverance. Jasmine, thank you so much for joining. But my grandmother had 4 or 5 different side hustles, and what I noticed about it is, like, she didn't have to get up and go trudge off to a job every morning. She helped a lot of people. She helped a ton of people, and so she would get up and she would work her side hustles around the life she really wanted to live, which was, she was always at church, helping out at church, always in the community, helping with community. We took in so many orphans and just people who were fell on hard times. That was her primary goal and gift. That was her purpose in life. And I noticed how she didn't have to get up and go to a 9 to 5 every day. And so the seed, what I call the sprouting stage, again, if you look this up, what are the stages of plant growth, you'll see that there are 6 stages. And so I'm kind of relating my experience to those 6 stages. The sprouting stage happened for me in childhood when I saw my grandmother with all of these different side hustles. And that, what the seed told me was, wow, I could actually go out and give a service to the world where they would pay me to do the things that I really love. And so that kind of was where the starting point for me was. So that was number 1, called the sprouting stage. Okay, so we all know that life happens. You grow up, you become, a bratty teen, and you go to college, and you get caught up in the rhetoric of, oh yeah, if you really want to be successful, then you're going to go to college. You're going to get a great, you're going to go to college so that you can get a degree, which is going to prepare you to take on this great corporate job. So that's what I believed. I felt like, yep, the corporate job, that's my ticket. That's my ticket to purpose and joy-filled work. And certainly, like I said, I always like to say there's nothing wrong with corporate. There's absolutely nothing wrong with corporate positions. But like I said, you really have to make sure that you're in the right lane, if you decide to go that route. And so stage number 2 is the seedling stage. And I like to share that in the seedling stage for me, that's where you develop your roots. And you start to spread. So after about 15 or 20 years in corporate, I got a lot of good stuff from there. But again, I just never felt like I was able to fully express the gifts and all the talents and everything that I brought to the table. I never felt that there was just a job out there that really incorporated all of that. Every job maybe gave me a little taste of it here, a little piece of it here. But again, it was never a job where I really fully felt like I was able to fully do the work that I wanted to do. And so the seed for a business kind of resurfaced after I'd gone through many years in corporate. The idea of starting up a business actually came back to life, I will say, in 2013 is where that seedling part started to come, and it was probably before that. If I'm honest about it, the process probably started back in 2005 or so for me, as I started looking at my life and really looking at all the components of it and realizing I was not happy in any area of my life, whether we're talking about relationships, whether we're talking about my corporate situation, my spiritual situation. I was just not happy in life, and I started to reevaluate and really think to myself, wow, what do I really want? What do I want my life to look like? So for me, it happened in Colorado. I had moved to Colorado in 2013, and that was a whole spiritual type of a situation. But I moved to Colorado, and it was during Colorado that I met some amazing people. There were entrepreneurs. They were entrepreneurs at the highest level. I had never really met someone who was doing what they loved, working and making multiple millions of dollars. And this is where I actually met these mentors. And so let me just stop for a second and just say, if you don't have a mentor, someone that is doing something that you find deeply, admirable, or in a position that you find really, really exciting to watch, then you must get a mentor. Again, you won't know until you actually talk to them if it's right for you, but I highly recommend that if you don't have a mentor, you want to seek one out. Seek multiple mentors out for different areas of your life. But for me, these people were not only like business mentors, but spiritual mentors. And I remember one day, we had what we would call this life group. We would just come together once a week, and he'd just say, all right, tell me, what's on your heart, what's on your mind. We would have this group, and that was so exciting to just be able to share with people kind of what was going on in our daily lives. But he actually, for a season, transformed the group into a Shark Tank. For those of you who are familiar with Shark Tank, that is the show that's out there where you get to bring a business idea before a group of heavy investors, a group of successful business people, and they get to tell you whether or not they're going to fund your venture. Well, he did a Shark Tank style live group. I will never forget it. And he said, listen, I want everybody to sit down and think about, what do you want your life to look like? What's a God-given, like a huge dream that maybe you've had in your mind that you never really sat down and actually thought through? And he gave everybody a chance to come to life group and actually share what that was. And I went down and I sat down and I thought about, well, what would the perfect life look like for me? What would I want from the perspective of, from a work perspective? And so I sat down and I thought about it, and that's where the seed was planted for me, which is stage number 2, for a business where I would have the opportunity to work with people to help them discover the fullness of their gifts, talents, and kind of what they were created to do. And like I said, I would be able to help them really get crystal clear on what that was, so that they could go out and find work that was similar to that. And then I could also help them actually find the work. That's where I really came up with that. I saw myself in a firm working with, a team, and actually working with these people to really develop them and help them understand, to kind of get out of that, I'm just going after a job, because it's management, or I'm going after a job because, it pays well, or it pays the bills, or, people will respect me if I have this title. But to really, just kind of do some soul searching with people and help them see, what do you get deeply excited about, whenever you think about work. That was what I wanted to do. And so that was stage number 2 for me. So in that session, I was able to kind of, you basically were able to share it with the group, and they gave you feedback about, what they anticipated that would look like. And it was just such an exciting time. I left there feeling really, really energized. But in the back of my mind, I was thinking, I really can't do that. I mean, me, a CEO, having a firm, being able to help people like that, I'm like, I don't have the skills for that. In the back of my mind, even though the seed was planted, I really had a lot of mindset issues that made me think, it's not possible. It's Just not possible. And so that takes me to stage three of my journey. The stage 3 in the plant growth is called the vegetative state. And this is the state where, you're starting to get the nutrients that you need to actually start to sprout above the ground. Now, this was key for me because after my time in Colorado, that whole spiritual awakening, and, like I said, it was a season where I was really, I got to overcome a lot of traumas and really identify some limiting beliefs that were in my life. This stage number 3 is where all of that junk started to come to the surface. And so all of a sudden I realized all the negative thoughts I had about what it meant to be successful, what it meant to have money. I had all kinds of money blocks, all kinds of limiting beliefs about why I couldn't, why I wasn't enough, why I wasn't equipped to do the work that I had in my mind. All of these things started coming up out of the depths of my soul. And I had to confront those things. And so I have to share with you that before you can jump into work that you absolutely love, your purposeful work, and really go out and help other people, let me be clear. You actually have to get yourself together first. You actually have to take the time to really understand what your purpose is and what are the limiting beliefs that come up for you. What are your confidence issues? What are your worth issues? Because you really can't help people as deeply as you would need to until you really, you get yourself right. And so step number 3 was not going and jumping into a business and opening up a business for me. Step number 3 was really saying, okay, I really am starting to see where I'm lacking and what's hindering me. I got to work on me. Does anybody relate to that? Thank you so much. I see you guys, dropping those loves and likes. Thank you for that. Step number 3 for me was truly about the deep work of understanding and getting myself clear. So I have to tell you, I probably went on a 2 to 3 year journey where I literally, I got some personal therapy. I had some coaching. I was reading nonstop. I got every book that you can imagine on how to reset your brain, how to unhook from limiting beliefs, how to remove money blocks, how to, really understand who you are as a person and not take on the persona of your parents or take on the persona of the people in your life who have put their desires and their wants on you. I just have to tell you, I went to work on myself. And again, like I said, all glory to God. I cannot leave him out of that equation because he directed me to the right books, the right people, the right courses, in order to start this process. But I literally had to work on my whole mind, my whole heart. And that is where, like I said, that was step number 3 for me. I had to transfer from an employee mentality to an entrepreneur mentality, had to transfer so many different mentalities and really just come to be my authentic self. Work on yourself. That is so right. Denise, you hit the nail on your head. I'm telling you, before we can move into, God has amazing purposes for us, things that are really going to help the world in a big way. But listen, you're never going to get to your purpose. He's not going to allow you to just kind of pour yourself out on the world without first working on you first. He loves us so much that, listen, he wants to get us right before we then go out and help others. Otherwise, we're going to get used up, feel used and abused at the end of this life, and that's not going to be a good look, right? We're never going to really be able to fulfill purpose if all we feel is tired, used, and abused. That just means you have to take time to really work on yourself first. So that was step number 3 for me, is getting myself right, getting my mind work. Does that resonate with anybody? I hope so. Let me know if that resonates with you. So what we're talking about today is perseverance, and how it is necessary to persevere through the process in order to get through to the other side. And I'm just sharing a little bit with you today about my personal journey of, like I said, it was a life journey, but I'm sharing a little bit about my corporate journey, from how I moved from corporate into my purpose-filled work. And so whatever you're doing right now, even if you're not in a corporate job, maybe you're a stay-at-home mom, whatever the situation is, wherever you are, if you have a vision of what you want your life to look like and you're not there, then I want to encourage you that there are some steps to the process, and there is no jumping over steps, guys. There is no jumping over steps. I don't care how driven, how ambitious, how much you want it. Okay, this thing is a process and you have to go through the steps. And I've already covered step number 1, okay? Where was the seed first planted? Go back to your childhood and look and think about, what did I desire, when I was a child? What was my deepest, most intimate dream when I was a child? Because a lot of times those get lost. Number 2 is, where did I rediscover that thing in my adulthood and decide that I was going to go for it? Okay, so that's step number 2. And then once you've decided you're going to go for it, step number 3 is now working on yourself, getting your own mind and heart and spirit ready for the very, very important work that you now have to do. So that was step number 3. Step number 4 is the budding process. So I'll just say mindset work never goes away. That's something you're going to constantly be working on all your life. But at some point, you are ready enough to start the prep phase, to start moving into this next work. So what did that look like? For me, like I said, I worked for corporate America for 20 plus years. The last 10 years, I actually worked for, a university. And so when I made the decision that, hey, it's time to really start moving into work that I feel like I was created to do, I spent the last 2 to 3 years of my time in corporate basically getting my stuff together, okay? You don't want to just jump out here and just say, okay, yeah, now that I know, who I serve and what I love to do, I'm just going to go, hang my shingle and get ready to go. Listen, you've got to get prepped, okay? Because you don't want to delay because you weren't properly, your foundation wasn't properly set. So I went and I really paid attention to, okay, what was going to be my exit strategy? And my exit strategy was I wanted a certain amount of money in the bank. And I looked at my 401k just to kind of see where I landed there, because if I had to pull that down, I just really wanted to understand what that meant in terms of pulling my 401k down. I wanted to make sure that I had a foundation for the business. Again, if the one thing, and I was just discussing this with one of my colleagues, if you're thinking about moving into a new line of work, go get prepared. Okay, please do not jump out here and not have the skills and just kind of put your resume out there and think that somebody's just going to pick you up because you decided you wanted to move there. Or again, if you're thinking about a business, think they're just going to hire you because you put the shingle out on the door. Listen, you have got to go get prepared. And so make sure that, if you are missing a skill, you got to go get that skill. And you don't have to always go back to school and do a 4-year degree to get a skill. There are so many courses and boot camps and mentors and apprenticeships out here. Going back to step number 1, make sure you have a mentor. You can learn, you can get 5 or 10 years worth of experience just by having a mentor that's willing to talk to you and actually give you advice about, hey, this is what you need to go do. You can accelerate your growth by 5 or 10 years. But you got to get the skills. You got to get the things in place. You got to get yourself financially set, because let's just be real. The finance piece, it has to be right. It has to be right in order for you to fulfill purpose. I mean, if you don't feel comfortable that the money is right, then that's going to hinder you. That's going to delay you for sure. So get the right prep work. For me, like I said, I got a business coach, start working with a business coach to develop myself from a business perspective. Looked at all my finances, make sure that I had a plan for how long, I could, for a cushion that I would need to really go forward and get the business done. Again, stack that money, start cutting out any and everything that I didn't need, okay? That consumer stuff, you've gotta make a decision that, listen, I gotta stack this money, and so therefore I don't need all this other stuff. You gotta start building. And so really, that was the next step I took, is putting together my exit plan, and really making sure that I had that intact. Now, having said that, let me be clear. It's never going to be the exact right time. Something's always going to be in your way when it comes to making a move. There's always going to be some situation that makes it not exactly the right time. So at some point, you have got to come to the place where you decide, you know what, I just got to jump. I've done everything that I know to do in order to prep and get ready for this jump. I know that this is what I'm supposed to do. And when you know that you know, and you still don't take action, let me just say that a lot of people are going to suffer because of that, and you're putting yourself in a position where you're just delaying getting out here and using the best years of your life doing the work that is truly purposeful. So you really, really got to make sure that once you put your exit plan in place, you talk to your spouse if there's a spouse in the situation, you've talked to the kids, you've talked to everybody, and you've done all that you know to do. At some point, you've got to make the decision that it's time to go. For me, that was April of 2019. I will say this. I actually made the decision that it was time to go, and I wanted to make that happen in December of 2018. And so I literally worked, from August of 2018, and I was grinding it, trying to get myself ready and right to get out of there by December of 2018. It didn't happen in December of 2018, but that's okay. Okay, delay is not denial. Okay, and so I was like, it's got to happen. And so what ended up happening is it did actually take me until April of 2019 to actually make the jump. So don't worry if you set a date and you miss that date. That's okay. Like I said, as long as your heart is committed to, this is what I know I have to do. I have to persevere. I have to push through. I have to go towards this work that I know I've been called to do and not delay. And so, like I said, I'm sharing all this, guys, to let you know that there are going to be bumps, humps, lumps along the way. That's just part of the process. There's no getting past the process. But if you've identified that there's something that you were called to do, you must move toward that purpose. You must not allow anything to stop you from moving past that purpose. Not anything. I'm a witness that whatever it is that you feel is hindering you, that's not it. If you continue to move towards your purpose, God will fix that thing for you. He will fix that thing. He will remove that thing, and you can continue to move forward. But if you will find that the world is going to test you. Everything's going to test you to see if you are in fact committed to this purpose. And if you want an excuse to get out of it and just kind of stay where you are, then an excuse will manifest. That's just the process, guys. I saw it over and over again. When I made a decision, hey, I have got to make this move. Then all of a sudden cars start breaking down, washing machines start breaking down. People, you start getting letters about money's owed. But you've got to say to yourself, hey, regardless of what's coming at me, I know that this is where I'm supposed to be going, toward this purposeful work. And as you move toward the work, things just start working themselves out. I can remember sitting in my closet with a whole bunch of bills and saying, oh God, what am I going to do about this? I was so stressed. I was so anxious. But I would just take the bills and I would just say, you know what? I'm going to do what I was supposed to do. God, you're somehow going to take care of this. And so I'm not going to worry about it. And every day I just go and I say, thank you, God, you're going to take care of this. And so you've just got to get, your spiritual practices in place. You've got to get your head your head set like a flint that this is what you're going to do. And then you keep it moving. Okay. So that was number 4. Excuse me. Yep. That was number 3. I think I just started talking about. And then stage number 4 of this process is the budding stage. This is where, okay, you have, you have the idea. You already know now what your calling is and the work is that you want to do. You have that already in play. You have worked on yourself, your mindset, your heart, and pulled out all those things, or at least started working on pulling out the limiting beliefs that are hindering you, holding you back, and actively working to get those things uprooted out of your heart. You've actively done that. You've started the prep stage, the practical stuff of taking care of the money situation, cutting back on spending, making sure that everybody's in alignment and knows what's going on. You've started that inner work. Okay, inner work never stops, but you've got to start and get a lot of that done to even move forward. And now the budding stage. This is where, you've now made the leap. Okay, so for me, I made that leap in April of 2019. And that's where you're now fully out here, operating in your purposeful work. You've jumped from, whether that's a corporate position or whether that's whatever that looks like, you've jumped from some work that was not what you were created to do, work that was not exciting, fulfilling, joyful, meaningful, work where you were not appreciated, respected, and all of these different things, into something that is now giving you more of that. So you've made that leap. And now you just got to ride the wave, baby. That's what I like to say. You have got to ride the wave, because this is exciting. There's so many exciting components to doing work that you love, but there are some waves to ride, because again, you're still learning. You're on the learning curve. And you're figuring all these things out. And so it's super important that you understand that there is a wave to ride. But you're getting sales. People are coming to your lives and people are buying your stuff, and all of a sudden, or like I said, if you're moving into a corporate position, into a new corporate position, but it's more purposeful. You come to work, you wake up, you're excited, you're singing in the morning, right? You're excited to get to work. You're excited about the work that you get to do. You see how, using your skills and gifts and talents and all of these things is really making an impact on your team. And you are just, like I said, you go home, you're happy. You go home and the kids, everybody's happier because you're happier. You're cooking more, you're spending more time. You just feel so much more relaxed. It's the mood. You will know when you've moved into purposeful work because that joy will just continue to bubble up. The excitement will continue to bubble up, even during the hard places. And so that's what I want to share with you. I consider that I am now in the budding stage where, like I said, I'm getting to help the people that I really enjoy helping on a daily basis. I'm really getting to share about this work that I get to do. My purposeful work, again, is as a coach, helping people discover and get clarity around who they are, around the work that they were meant to do, and then matching that up with real world work that's out there, whether that's a job or a business. Literally, I have the gift of helping people to pull out what that purposeful work is, and then I have the gift of actually strategy and planning to help you actually now go out and match that with something that's in the real world and make a living off of that. Not only make a living, but actually be who you were created to be and really be fully in that calling. So that's number 4, where I'm out here now doing this work and just enjoying everyday life. Last week, I went to visit my son. I took the time off. I get to make my schedule what I need it to be. I get to be the mom, that I want to be because, I'm doing work that I love. And so I'm happier. And when I'm happier, everybody around me is happier. Don't make the mistake that if you give up all of who you are, if you give up all of your life and literally just kind of drain your soul giving to people, don't make the mistake that you're going to that's going to somehow be worth it, or you're going to be better off in that scenario. It never works. Don't think that, your kids are going to be better off because you gave all and all they saw was a drained, empty, broken vessel, who said, well, I had to do this for my kids. That's just not how that works. That was the scenario that I was heading into. When I became vibrant and was able to be life-giving, I'll never forget, my son told me, something that just really made me know that every sacrifice that I've done is worth it. He said, before I left in 2013 to go to Colorado and get myself right, get my life right, get my mind right, okay? He was like, I was the mom who fed him, who clothed him, who gave him a house to stay. He loved me, but I was the mom who fed him, who clothed him, who gave him a house to stay, provided for his basic necessities. After I went and really decided that I was going to find purpose and I was going to do something that really meant something, not just to me, but would be helpful to the world. After I came back, he told me, wow, Mom, you changed. You became my teacher. You became my mentor. Now I can come to you because, you're so passionate about telling us about how to find our purpose and really helping and giving us the tools to be able to do that. I didn't have the ability to give them the tools to do that before I left. I didn't have it. You can't give what you don't have. And let me be clear, kids need more than food, clothing, and a house to stay. You can't give what you don't have. If you really are wanting to make sure that you're leaving a legacy for your kids and setting them up for success, you've got to make sure that you're giving them the inner stuff. So I came back as his teacher, is what he told me. And I was like, wow, that made all the difference for me. Does anybody relate to that? Anybody relate to that? I would love to kind of hear, what stage do you feel like you're in? Okay? I just gave you 4 stages. What stage do you feel like you're in? Is it just a seed, that you had from childhood, but you've never acted on it? Is it something, maybe an idea that's been reactivated in your adulthood and you think about it a lot? You really want to do it, but you really haven't made those steps yet. Or are you on step number 3 where you've made the commitment, you know what, I'm going to do this. And now you're just working on yourself, getting yourself together. Or are you in step number 4 where you've made the leap and now, you're riding that wave of purposeful work. You're riding that wave and really helping people and growing and developing and learning more and more and more. Let me know. Drop a comment in the box and let me know what stage are you in? Stage 1, stage 2? Stage 3, stage 4. Let me know. I would love to hear from you on this topic. But guys, there are 2 other stages. I would say I'm not, the other 2 stages are the flowering and ripening stages. I haven't quite gotten to those stages, but that's okay. This is a journey. I'm ready for my second act, and I've got so much to learn and so much to do, but I am excited that I am in stage 4 and continuing to grow, continuing to learn. And so I want to encourage you, no matter what stage you are in, even if it's just stage 1, and you have to go back and remember what it is from childhood that you always wanted to do, that thing that you thought about consistently, and for whatever reason you put that down, your dreams, your passions from childhood, you put that down. Even if that's where you are, I encourage you, pick it back up, and run with it.